Oh, hi. Good to
G'day,
see
mate.
you. Welcome to Six Pack Tea. I'm your host, Jacob. This is my co-host, Ted.
Speluncle Ted. So I like
Speluncle Ted.
spelunking.
Splunkle with the uncle. Nice.
Hey.
Nice. No. We're here to talk about the not exactly the usual because it's always a little bit unusual, but we're sticking to our little formula at the moment where we're doing shorter segments. And at the moment, got a bit of a doozy. He's a very topical man, Mr. Joe Rogan, and he's found himself in the news yet again.
I found a song about him, actually.
You found a song about him?
Would you like to hear him?
A song about Joe Rogan? Fuck yes, I'd love to hear that.
But he's got a heart of gold, and he just tries to spread information.
Do you think the was it ivermectin? Do you think I gave him the heart of gold?
If I'm going to be honest, I doubt ivermectin did much for the COVID treatment. I think it's more the monoclonal antibodies.
That's probably what it was.
That's being used heavily in places like Florida.
This is going to be such a good copyright strike, mate.
All right, you're off Spotify now. Fuck off.
I actually have such good memories of that song. It's a shame that I won't be able to listen to it on Spotify anymore.
So, what's been happening with Dr. Neil Young and Joseph Rogan?
Well, Dr. Neil Young, I don't know if it's a Jill Biden kind of doctor. Maybe not. Maybe he's not a doctor at all. Maybe he just thinks he's a doctor and he's a little old.
If you don't vote for me, you're not a doctor.
No, so Neil Diamond we've got a little bit further in the story, but he initially threatened that he would remove his music from Spotify if Joe Rogan and his podcast weren't removed. That's based on an assertion that Joe Rogan is putting out misinformation about COVID, vaccines, all of that kind of thing.
And a lot of that stems from that letter that was sent out, yeah?
I reckon it would, because what comes across Neil Diamond's radar, like one blip every fucking 20 years, I don't know. So letter was written, open letter, about Joe Rogan and his alleged misinformation. I say alleged because, there's a lot of information out there that's being put out there, whether or not it's true. It was allegedly by about 280 to 300 doctors, and I say allegedly in that context.
And we also say doctors.
Yeah, exactly. They were not all doctors. Some of them, as I understand, were
not medical doctors.
Some of them were museum curators, to quote Tim Pool, I believe it was. Some of them were.
They've got a doctorate in art.
They may not have even had their full doctorates, and that was the caliber of signatories on that particular piece of literature.
But I've got a family member that is a doctor. Now, they're a doctor. They've got a doctorate in fucking geology.
Yes, well, you've got to have stones.
I talk to them. I don't have an issue with Joe Rogan saying, I don't have a fucking opinion on it because I don't know. Because I'm not a fucking doctor.
Exactly. So if you've got
people with less scientific doctorates than him that are putting their name forward, and then you've got CNN, MSNBC, a bunch of Australian news outlets as well, putting out these are all reputable doctors. It was less than half of them were actual doctors.
Oh, they're reputable in their
medical
field.
Doctors.
But if I were to ask a medical question of a doctor of geology, would they give me a more advanced and succinct opinion than the bloke at the pub who also is not trained in the medical field?
Fucking gallstones.
Good God. But yeah, so this letter that came out, there was a lot made about it. It was covered by a lot of media companies. The fact that it was virtually, I would say you could classify it as a hoax, or at least a misrepresentation. It has not nearly been covered to the degree
a
of the initial
misrepresentation.
reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no footnotes, there's no corrections, or at least none that are publicized where they're like, oh, no, I got that one wrong. So this is likely where Neil Young's ire has been raised regarding Spotify, because he is coming at Spotify to say that you're actually by proxy promoting this kind of misinformation because you're hosting Joe Rogan on your podcast.
I've got a different
now Joe Rogan
opinion.
came onto this podcast on the back of $100 million deal. He was a big motherfucking fish that Spotify landed, and they
He's doing like what,
landed.
7 million? It's either 7 million or 11 million, one of the two viewers per episode.
He's the biggest podcast in the world, I believe. At least he's the biggest podcast streamed on Spotify. Neil Young,
outside,
some good songs.
Heart of Gold, 235 million. Just a smidge under 236. I'll give him that. Harvest Moon, 163. Rockin' the Free World, bit ironic, honestly, but 73. The Needle and the Damage Done, 36 million. And Down by the River, 43 million.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's smashing that in a couple of months.
It's interesting because you can't compare it like for like in that regard, because most people with a podcast will listen to it once. People who are fans of a musical artist, they're going to come back to the well again and again. So there's probably less viewers, or less listeners rather, for Neil Young versus Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is just more current.
So you'd
say he's more current. He's more relevant.
So you'd say you'd cut that down by like a quarter or a third or something?
Honestly, I couldn't even say. And they're in such different spheres. Like people that are interested in modern culture, politics, modern social issues, versus people that are probably looking back at days gone by and remembering good music. And he does make good music. They're so different. But I think you can effectively say that just by the numbers, even heavy-handedly, if you were going to choose between who you were going to keep as a moneymaker for your company, Joe Rogan, biggest podcast in the world, Neil Young, faded classic artist,
and
I guess. Not to discredit him, because
I enjoy his music, but I know what I enjoy more. And Spotify came to the same decision. They're like, look, if you're going to make us make a decision, we're going to look at it as a purely financial decision.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, 11 days out of 10.
I don't understand where he thought he was coming from, where he thought he was the bigger fish.
Another thing I found out, I found this out like this morning. I don't even know if he technically has the right to actually request for his music to be taken off Spotify.
Oh yeah, no, that is the artist, right?
Yeah, years ago, he sold like 50% of the rights to his music to an investor group. So I don't know all the legalities, right? He may still be able to because he owns 50%, but there's a chance that he's not even allowed to actually request. It's like an empty threat. He has no say in the matter. Be interested to see what happens if that is the case. But
yeah, that's interesting. Little facet of it. I don't know this, but this is kind of just a feeling I get. I feel like Spotify would want to maintain a good relationship with the artists that are on their platform, so they may just do it out of a goodwill gesture for the artist. Another less concrete thing, which is something I've got a bit of an inkling about, I suppose. It's possible that Neil Young didn't think they're going to choose me. It may not have been about that. It may not have been an ego-driven thing. It may have simply been a principle thing. He's decided that his moral principle says, I'm not going to be sharing this platform with this person, and be damned with you if you agree with me or not. I'm still going to remove my music on my own
Wasn't
moral.
he quite anti-establishment?
It used to be, yeah.
That's where that casts doubt me, and for me, it becomes more of like an egotistical thing or a relevant thing. Like, you used to be quite anti-establishment, all of a sudden you've flip-flopped. Now, it's possible that he has flip-flopped, and he's very pro-establishment now. But tigers don't change their stripes, as the saying goes. I think it's far more likely to look at this as a way of, hey, how do I get my name out there? But it's interesting.
I don't know. The dude's pretty old. He'd be in his 70s, surely. He's probably not questing for relevancy. He's got his legacies established.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know.
Something about it seems disingenuous to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, even from talking loud about it, I'm thinking that I probably know less about it than I thought I did, because you're an artist. You've got a great body of work that a lot of people respect, and you have stood on principle before, and you're in the new age. I don't know, man. Like, I'm actually not really sure.
We're probably never going to truly know.
Probably not, but it's good. Spotify did actually leave the door open for him to come back, and I hope he does, because I've got him on Spotify. Like, I play his music now and then. It's good memories. But well, yeah,
that's our recap on Joe Rogan versus Neil Young. We'll give you an update once they're booked in for the next UFC event. I think that's going to be at the middleweight division. But thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you did like it, chuck us a like, chuck us a subscribe, and suss in our other videos. We've got some short form stuff. We've got some long form stuff. Let us know what you like. Any parting words, Jacob?
Just keep searching for that heart of gold, mate. Just keep searching. It's out there.